as you're kind of winding down training camp? Like, what have you learned about your group in the last 3 weeks?
I've learned about their just resilience, the way they go about their everyday work, and obviously it's all around this building, living your routine. And those guys are definitely a testimony of that. They have a good routine every single day. We start the day with a great quote, and from that quote, I allow them to reflect on it. Sometimes it has something to do with football, sometimes it does not. Just to get them to become a thought-provoking group, guys that think ahead and think forward, and creating forward thinkers obviously create forward-moving players. Guys is going to think ahead of a play. So they did a phenomenal job just doing those things and just growing within themselves and creating a bar of expectation, being so high for themselves to do better than what they did last year. And they've been living in that moment throughout the stress, throughout the pressure, your body during camp, it starts breaking down, and we've got to run down the field regardless as a defensive back. And I think those guys have been able to do it, and it just goes back to Xavier's leadership and how he's handled that type of pressure and new role, yet making plays himself. So I think it all goes hand in hand in what we've been trying to do, making sure they're living their routine, making sure we're led by the right type of people, and ultimately seeing how those guys grow together in those expectations.
We've talked a lot about Terrence, we've talked a lot about Xavier, but that group, I don't say behind them, but maybe that we're not talking about as much: Shaheem Clark, Caleb Patterson, Torrey Cox. What have you seen from those guys? Chase Kennedy, I think, would probably be maybe in that role as well. Like, what have those guys done this camp to maybe keep pushing forward?
Just as much as you would see from Terrence Brooks and Xavier, because the reality of it is, you got a group of dogs, you know what I mean? And you want to see each and every dog grow, you treat them all the same. You feed every single dog inside that kennel the same way. So every single dog knows, hey, I got a shot, and when my number's called, I got to be ready to bite or bark or do whatever it is that coach tells me to do. And so that's what they're doing, but they're all chasing each other. One dog knows another dog may bite him on his behind if he's moving too slow. So it's that competition in the room that creates natural growth. Now they're all around each other, they hang with each other, they're loving each other up. But when they're on the field, they know they got to produce better than the next guy because, hey, there's another dog on the sideline that's trying to eat off of my plate. So that's essentially what we've created. So those younger guys have pushed those veterans to stay, diligent at their work because they know it's a young guy trying to take some of their reps in their playing time. And I think that's really what you want in a corners room. Guys that love each other and can communicate with each other, but also guys that's willing to compete with each other every single rep, every single play.
You mentioned Xavier as in that leadership role. Like, what have you seen him do maybe as a leader? Like, how has he gone about that?
Obviously, leadership is, something that's developed from within and something that you really want to do. So you see him, on the field every single day, taking his pre-snap reps and going through things mentally. But then you'll see him doing things the right way on the field, which makes other guys want to follow it. But then after he screws up, he holds himself accountable. Yet, if someone screws up, he's able to go and have a conversation with them about what they did technically wrong. So there's so much growth in that because he knows how to communicate effectively with those guys. And each guy, one guy, he may, laugh and joke about a certain way of changing the technique. The next guy, he may, hey, bro, you can't do that. He may browbeat him a little bit more. Why? Because the relationship may be different, or the way that guy receives communication may be a little different. So he's aware of that, which means he's a very, very mature young man, which means, hey, our room can keep growing because we know how to talk to each other, not just through each other.
Was that something you saw in him when he got here, maybe that he could be that guy for you?
No doubt about it. And obviously it's something that that Coach B saw as well, and Coach Aaron Henry saw as well, because when I got here, he was on the leadership council. I just had to continuously promote leadership and being a captain and leading a room as far as something that you should really take pride in doing, instead of it just being a title that's next to your name. It's a difference in the two. And he's taken that role and he's lived in it.
Caleb is a guy who looks like he has all the physical tools.
Who was that,
Caleb
Coach?
Patterson.
Caleb Patterson, yes,
looks like
sir.
a guy with all the physical tools you want. How's he grown this fall camp?
Very, very, very well. I mean, he's stronger at the top of routes, and he's more diligent at his approach of watching film and having an understanding of what type of things that receivers are going to do to him. Yet, he's became more confident in his own self and his techniques, which makes him, he's already big, strong, and fast. Now he's bigger, stronger, and faster because he believes he is. So a lot of things that happens on out on the island as a defensive back is all about your mental, state of mind and your confidence in who you are. And so now that has grown because he has confidence in the techniques that I've been teaching him. So he's grown a lot this camp.
I guess big picture wise with techniques, with coverages, I mean, have you seen the steps you wanted to see from your group in camp just to be ready for that opener?
No doubt about it. I've seen a lot of great things. Obviously, I want to see more. You know, you can never replicate live action football with people in the stands and it's louder. So how are they going to communicate? How are they going to deal with being under the bright lights? Obviously, we haven't had a lot of pass interference calls. We've had refs here a lot, which has been very, very good. I've held them to that standard. We wore boxing gloves at practice and oven mitts and anything possible to get them from holding and really being able to use their feet. Is that going to replicate success on the field? We'll find out on game day. But they've at least had the opportunities to say, Coach has shown me how to play with my eyes and my feet without needing my hands, until I need to get my hands on the ball and things like that. So I'm excited to see how they manage just the emotions and the pressure that goes along with 3rd and long. Who are you? Can you make this play for us or not? And I believe with the techniques and the things that we've taught them, the repetition has created belief, it's created knowledge, it's created a sense of self-worth and a sense of success for each one of them.
What was their reaction the first time you bust out the oven?
They were initially, when I talked about it in meetings, they were a little apprehensive, like, Coach, we're not going to be able to say, I'm not worried about any interceptions on those particular downs. I want to make sure we're not penalized. I want to go from maybe one of the higher penalized groups to one of the least. Right? And that's a goal for us. Yes, we want to create great players, but they also got to understand the rules and the rules of engagement, when they can use their eyes, when they can use their feet, and when they can use their hands. So they were a little bit upset initially, but after a while, they got to see like what the entire plan was. So now they know annually, once, twice a week, they got to put them on, and it's really going to help them focus on being in the right place and doing a great job at staying over the top of folks and making plays on the ball. Mentally, not always just physically with your hands as well. So yeah, really excited about how they went about handling it.
Have they found their way to the Mayhem belt yet? Are you guys?
It was a couple of opportunities that we had, and we dropped interceptions. So we're closer and closer to getting our hands on that belt, and everybody can see. Most of all, we're doing a great job of making sure that belt can end up in somebody else's hands because we're down the field in coverage and defensive linemen are getting home because we're down the field and we're doing our part. And so it may not be as celebrated, it may not be as thought about, it may not be as talked about, but if we can do our job every single day, that belt is quasi inside of our room. We'll get our hands on it someday.
So you should get credit for the coverage sacks, right?
Hey, sometimes, but we're not going to seek any comfort. We're not going to ask for it, right? We're just going to go out and try and earn it every single day by eventually getting a pick. So, yeah, really excited about it.
Juice Clark, another young guy. How have you seen the value of a year of experience with him? Now, I don't know if that's a confidence thing or obviously there's physical development there as well, but...
With Clark, it was 100% about just confidence. I mean, you're talking about a guy that was an ex-soccer player, a guy that understands spatial awareness, and he's fast. He just wasn't as strong as he needed to be. And Coach Tank and his staff has done an amazing job of just continuously developing his body. And so he's in a position now where he's continuously pushing depth. He's learned how to make plays on the ball. He had a pass breakup in one of the scrimmages that made everybody on the team go, whoa. You know what I mean? He was able to do this job plus get his hands on the ball. So I'm pretty excited about, where his growth is at right now. And he knows, that the sky's the limit. It's going to be up to him to continuously push himself along with myself to motivate him to want more for himself. So I'm pretty excited about that kid's growth. He's got a real bright future here with us.
Torrey's tape at Ohio. He's physical. I mean, he's not the biggest guy, obviously, but he's physical. How is that translated here as he's learned a new system and kind of found his way here?
Quick as a cat, man. I mean, that dude is gonna, he's gonna move his feet and stay in a position where receivers don't really like you in their hip that close, but he's comfortable in that space. And like I said, he's a smaller guy, but think about it. He's always been a smaller guy. So he's figured out in this world how to live and how to compete by being a smaller guy and play at a very, very high level. So yeah, his Ohio film has been good, and some of his camp film has been even better. So he's been able to do some things outside for us and inside for us, which his position flexibility is going to create a lot of success for us.